This is the first recording of a cult that is 500 million years old, called the Stitch Veneration. And this cult dates all the way back to when we were cave personas. See, this society creates masks to show the world that they are kind and loving. And this cult is still around today, creating incredible pieces of art that they put on their faces. And they've even been reported to ride bicycles that are hidden deep in the forest, and have thousands of books that are filled with a secret code that no one has ever been able to crack. And now this is the mark of a Stitcher, and if you look closely, you can see the symbol hidden on their clothing. See, this woman is normal, giving no signs that she's a Stitcher until you look closer.
The worst times to be alive in history, part 4. 1346, the Black Death. One of the most global epidemics in history was the Black Death. It was given the name after a massive outbreak of the plague that struck Europe and Asia in the mid-14th century. The outbreak was believed to have started in China before slowly making its way west via fleas and diseased rats, leaving death and suffering in its wake. Europe had heard of it in the years leading up to its introduction to the Western world. However, it did not prepare them for what was to come. In 1347, a number of ships from the Black Sea arrived in the Sicilian port of Messina, with most of the sailors on board dead. Those that survived were super ill and covered in oozing boils. By the time it subsided, there were 75 to 200 million people that had died worldwide. Follow for part 5.
The following radio transmission will send chills down your spine.
Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens, Art, they're extra dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, I'm sorry, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharge.
I started getting...
If you thought that was creepy, the call was dropped because the entire radio station was knocked off the air. What's even creepier is that the call aired on September 11th, 1997, exactly 4 years before 9/11. Not like it has anything to do with it, but it aired on Art Bell's popular radio show called Coast to Coast AM, one of the most popular radio shows broadcast on more than 300 radio stations. The radio host, Art Bell, was known to discuss offbeat topics such as UFOs, the paranormal, and pseudoscience, so it's safe safe to say that his radio show would be the place to call in the event of an excommunication from Area 51. So here we are 25 years after this recording, and we're getting some pretty mind-blowing revelations from the US government. And to add fuel to the fire, Area 51's existence was denied all the way up until 2013 when the US government officially acknowledged it. Was this man really a former Area 51 employee? Have extra-dimensional entities infiltrated our militaries and governments? Who's really running the show here? I don't know, man, but it's looking kind of sus. What do you guys think? Was this an Oscar-winning performance, or do you think this dude actually worked at Area 51?
This is why I no longer go camping. During Christmas time, my family thought it would be fun to go camping and celebrate Christmas in the wild. This time, we decided to go someplace my dad always wanted to go to. So we packed for 3 days and drove there. My dad decided to be adventurous and camped 3 miles away from our car. We reached a spot my dad thought was nice and set up our tents. My dad and brother went to collect some wood for the fire, while my mom and I made some sandwiches. I kept hearing weird noises around us like footsteps, but she told me it's probably small animals. But I still felt like we're being watched. Couple hours later, after eating and chilling for a while, we decided to call it a night. My parents headed to their tent and my brother and I each slept in a different tent. And here's where the horror started. Overnight, I kept hearing noises, almost like footsteps circling my tent. I was scared it could be a wild animal like a bear. So I tried not to move and lowered my breathing, till I heard a voice say,
"They're all asleep."
And now those footsteps were approaching my tent. My heartbeat was increasing, and now I was fully awake. I tried to call my dad, but there was no signal. I had nothing to use as a weapon except a water bottle. I knew this is gonna end up bad for me because now there's a hand on my tent's zipper. And suddenly I hear one of the other tents open. It was my brother sleepwalking as usual, which caused those footsteps to march away from my tent. I opened my tent slowly and peeked to see if they're gone. And that's when I screamed and woke everyone up because of the horror that I saw. I peeked through my tent and I saw what looked like a couple of people, dressed in black distressed robes, but their hands looked more like giant claws. I couldn't see their faces, but when my brother kept walking towards them, one of them turned towards us, and then I was sure that what I saw was no way human. Their eyes glowed this bloody red color like wild animals. I screamed at the top of my lungs. And that's when my parents woke up and rushed to us. What scared me was that in blink of an eye they were gone. I tried explaining what I saw, but I was too shaky to make sense. We stayed awake till sunrise, then packed our stuff and left. We got to our car and hit the road. On our way back, my dad told us that he saw weird footsteps there, but didn't want to tell us so we don't get scared. Till this day, we don't speak of it or go camping anymore.
I fell into a burning.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
You're a mean one. You really are a hero. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel. Mr. Grinch.
This is probably the most disgusting thing you're gonna see on TikTok today. If you've ever eaten from a street vendor in China, you may want to skip this video. This is gutter oil. It's produced by pulling waste from sewers, gas traps, and slaughterhouses in China. It's then boiled and filtered until nothing but oil is left. After it goes through that process, it's used as cooking oil. According to Radio Free Asia, gutter oil is said to account for 1/10 of the cooking oil in China. It doesn't take a genius to guess that because of this process, the oil contains carcinogens and other toxins. It's literally shit oil, and people consume it every day. This here is an actual still from a video of a woman who makes her living by pulling the waste from the sewers.